Filipino version in the description.
好き像
Tigreal was born into the Witting family. This family is as old as the Moniyan Empire itself. From the beginning of the establishment of the empire, the Witting clan has served as soldiers and became part of the defense of the Moniyan Empire. Protecting the nobility and security of the entire empire has been the main goal of the clan for many generations. This includes Tigreal's generation. His father, Gareth, was the Minister of Defense of the Empire, and he was the right hand of the king, while his uncle was in charge of defending the most dangerous territory in the Moniyan Empire, the area to the south, which was closest to the home of the forces of darkness, the barren lands. Several thousand years have passed since the last war between the light and the darkness. However, the rumors and threats indicate that the forces of darkness are once again rising and planning their attack. Since Tigreal was a child, he received relentless training. He was raised by the ways of the military, constantly learning various combat skills such as fighting, swordsmanship, and riding. Because his father was the king's right-hand man, his family has high expectations from him, believing that one day he can surpass the greatness of his father. So when he turned 16, Tigreal immediately joined the Imperial Army and was assigned to the Garrison Division. He served in the garrison for 4 years, and during those 4 years, Tigreal demonstrated his talent for combat and leadership. And it was here that people discovered his natural talent as a leader. Tigreal's name became famous throughout the empire. Even the members of the Imperial Knights already knew him. The Imperial Knights, or Knights of Light, are a special part of the Imperial Army. In the Moniyan Empire, only the strongest and most loyal were accepted into the Imperial Knights. These qualities are possessed by Tigreal, so he went through the intense training with the Imperial Knights, until finally, he was named the youngest member in the history of the Moniyan Empire. His family became very proud of him. Even the people in the empire were amazed by his abilities. And Tigreal's greatness spread throughout the Moniyan Empire, and people believed that one day he will be included in the list of heroes in the history of the empire. However, as Tigreal emerges to greater heights, his name and reputation will suffer a huge blow. In the barren lands, the empire sent their soldiers to fight and suppress the demons who were sowing chaos. Tigreal was assigned to be the commander of the 2nd Regiment. His battalion consisted of Imperial Knights and Imperial Border Guards. The command center ordered Tigreal's battalion to go to the enemy's flank and attack from there. However, the command center gave them the wrong information, and so Tigreal and his battalion were cornered and surrounded by the enemy. To avoid losing Tigreal's entire battalion, the command center ordered them to leave those who were cornered by the enemy and to retreat from the battle. Tigreal refused to leave his comrades. He was ready to die with his battalion, but one of his officers, named Roland, begged Tigreal to retreat so that some of them could hope to survive. Meanwhile, Roland and some soldiers will try to buy time for them to escape. Tigreal's heart was heavy with the decision to step back and leave the rest of his comrades. The battle continued on until the entire army of the Moniyan Empire finally arrived. They vanquished the demons from the area. However, only the 2nd Regiment suffered high casualties. The small group that remained to help them buy time to escape were all killed. And as Tigreal stood over the corpses and the blood spilled on the ground of his comrades, he was filled with grief and guilt for his decision. Upon returning to the Moniyan Empire, the command center covered up their mistake, which resulted in the death of many members of the 2nd Regiment. They fabricated a story that the 2nd Regiment did not obey orders and rushed in recklessly as they wanted credit for killing the demons. They even bribed Tigreal with awards, promotions, and medals of honor so that he would keep quiet about what happened. His family became even more proud of him, but Tigreal couldn't take it anymore. the expectations of his family, and the Empire's manipulation of the reality of what happened to his battalion. And so he left the Moniyan Empire and went to the cold nation of the Northern Vale. And there he found friends among the tribes who lived in these icy lands. He lived among them and even fought side by side with them. During Tigreal's time here, he was able to think deeply. He reflected upon his life decisions and his very reason for fighting. And then he realized that the lives of his comrades were more important than whatever the outcome of the battle might be. He fights to protect everyone from the darkness. And if victory can only be obtained through the sacrifice of your comrades, then this victory is meaningless. After all this, Tigreal returned to the Moniyan Empire and the Imperial Knights, promising himself that the tragedy which befell his battalion would never happen again. Over the years, Tigreal became the leader of the Imperial Knights, and wherever the threat of evil exists, Tigreal is ready to face it as a warrior of light. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content. My name is Kizzo, the Lord of Lords.